Fan back at it live and direct. I think I'm actually just gonna start streaming a lot later because my schedule has actually been getting changed around. I know I said I would do 6 p.m. today, but my schedule's got like changed around a little bit. So I'm like, okay, I might start doing like probably 8 to 9 Eastern time instead. But that also might change too. There's just a lot of stuff I'm messing around with my schedule currently. But we'll either get a stream, we'll get 8 to 9 usually, or we might get 6 to 7, one of those two. But I'll make sure to get at least an hour in between one of those times every day. That's what we're looking at. So, but anyway, still right now, messing around with my schedule, trying to still plan some stuff for y'all. So yeah, we're gonna work around it. Basically, we're gonna work around it. But we here, we live, we gonna cook real quick. We're gonna keep going with the Myron Tate and Fuentes podcast, or live, or whatever you want to call it. We're just gonna keep cooking through it because there's still a lot of valuable information out of this shit that we can definitely talk about. So yeah, man. So with that being said, we're just gonna jump right into this shit. I'm gonna start yapping like I normally do. So all right, that's all set up. All right, let's go.
When I talk with you about issues, I'm very honest and open about the fact that you have swaths of knowledge I don't have. I don't want to get pulled into muddy waters where I'm in a situation and we're discussing something I know nothing about. You can start talking about the financing of a particular senator, and
Oh, even important thing too is just I think something that I think is underrated. Or see, bro, I'm telling you, I just hear something and I instantly am like, bro, this is so important, bro. Something that's really important is that if you don't know something, just say you don't know. And I think this is something that a lot of men actually don't do. And I guess it kind of happens with, let's say you're a content creator and you're watching this, like you have this urge to speak about some shit that you don't really know or understand because maybe it could help you gain views or followers or whatever. But it's never really a good idea to do that because eventually you will be shown to be a fraud. You can't really hide who you are, bro. Because the only way to maintain a lie is to believe it as the truth. Because the thing with lying is like at first when you lie about something or act like maybe you know something that you really don't know, it's lit at the beginning because people think you actually know what you're talking about or know or understand certain things. But what ends up happening is as time passes, you have to actually believe you know what you're talking about. And anyone who's intelligent will start to be able to poke holes in the shit that you're saying or thinking. They'll be like, wait, my nigga, you don't actually, that's not actually true. That's not actually true. You just start to become a fraud because you actually are a fraud. So it's important to be like, I think one of the most powerful things you can do as a man is just be like, I don't know. Just be like, I don't know. Like, I don't know this thing. I don't know enough about this thing to speak upon it. Like, I don't know. And I think it just shows a level of integrity, too. It's like, hey, if I don't understand some shit, you're going to know. If I don't understand something, you're going to know. And I try to make sure, at least, that I always say, like, I'm trying to learn more about this thing, or this is as much information I currently know about this thing, or I'm trying to get smarter or learn more about this thing. Because essentially when you do that, it communicates to anybody that you're with or talking to or whatever, or even if you're a content creator, you're talking to your audience that like, hey, I don't fully know what's going on here. I need to know more. And even before you speak on something or say something like, hey, I still need to know more about this particular thing. This is currently what I see, but I still need to learn more. There's still more I need to see here. But just make sure that you have that level of integrity to be like, I don't know. Don't just be like, oh yeah, it's like this. No, like, you probably don't know, bro. You probably just don't know. It takes a very long time to actually know something, bro. It takes a long time. You actually have to study and experience something for a while before you're like, okay, I think I have a good grasp of this. So until you're really at that point, you should never be really going in out of your way to speak on something unless you're like you really went deep into knowledge of that thing or deep into studying that thing. It's just important for your integrity. And I think it's just important for you as a man, if you really truly want to be honorable and have integrity, if you don't know something, let it be known that you don't know. So people don't feel like you're speaking on things you don't know. And what this also does, finally speaking here, is that it makes it to where when you are speaking on something, people believe you actually know what you're talking about because you went out of your way to say when you don't know. So that means when you do know when you're speaking, people trust that shit a lot more. You know what I'm saying? And I think you always want to carry yourself that way so people can actually trust you. You want to be trustworthy. So yeah, that's just, great start there, man. So let's keep going.
I don't know. So I kind of operate on feels, Do I think you're a Fed? Truthfully, in my heart, no. Do I think Candace and Tucker are Feds? In my heart, no. When someone says, Tucker's a Fed, his dad was in the CIA, I say, my dad was in the CIA and we were fucking broke. And he got discharged, and he died destitute with $15 in his pocket. So I don't buy any of that. What I do think is perhaps there's some ego involved, perhaps we're at a pivotal moment in culture. Perhaps maybe there is a degree of them trying to assert dominance over you, or trying to show that, they're not scared of your influence. That's all possible and all very real. I can only answer what I would have done in your situation, which was what I said earlier. I would have sat down with Candace, I would have defended myself and say, you know what, by and large, I think she does fantastic work. By and large, I agree with her. So I don't see the point in going to war with her. However, that's your decision to make. And I do also understand that going to war with people is entertaining. And we are in the entertainment business. That's another thing to consider. It's pretty funny to go to war with people and start swinging. But we have to sit down and be professionals here. And as professionals, we have to sit and say, okay, are we really trying to win? Because if there's things you've said I could get upset about, but I don't actually give a shit. You could sit here right now and call me a nigger and say I'm a Jew, and I'd be like, you know what? I like you anyway. I'm gonna like you whether you like it or not. I'm gonna say I.
But I don't know. I've definitely, Ollie's been on the internet for a while now. I guess I've been on the internet for a while now. I don't know. Like, at least since I've been taking like content seriously, maybe like 2 years now, or knew I was going to do content, maybe like 2 years now since I took it seriously. I mean, I was making content before, but it was kind of just for like the lulz or whatever. This was like all the way back in 2020, but I would say maybe took it seriously. I'm like, okay, I could build a business off this and that kind of jazz. That was maybe like 2 years ago, 2-3 years ago when I decided to like actually take it seriously. But I mean, over time, one of the biggest things I have really learned though is that social media is really, it is theater. I think it's important to understand that with social media is theater because the goal of social media, or when you're a content creator, is to gain an audience. How do you gain an audience? Well, usually it's going to break down into education or entertainment. Like, that's how you build an audience as a content creator. You're either educating people about something, making people aware about something, or you're entertaining them to some degree. That's why people watch social media. So the reason why social media, I'll say in a way, is not real is because everybody who's on social media as a content creator, like if you're a content creator, you're just here to educate or entertain. And then everybody else who's on it is just consuming the education and or entertainment. Like, it's not real. Like, none of the things you're seeing is supposed to be real. If you want real shit, you know what you have to do? You have to go outside. You have to go outside, do real things in real life. You know what I'm saying? That's real. Everything on social media is here to educate and or entertain you, not be real. You're not supposed to be on the internet and feel like it's real life. Does that make sense? Like, none of this is supposed to be feeling like real life when you're on the internet. Even you sitting here watching me right now, this is not supposed to feel real. Like, I don't talk it through a screen, and I would say at least when you're doing something live, it's as real as it could pretty much get, but it's never going to be as real as if you were sitting here next to me and talking to me. It's just completely different. You're still seeing me through a screen. So I think even just from that perspective alone, you kind of realize that, well, it's kind of true. Like, social media isn't really real. Like, most content creators, are just here to either educate or entertain. They're not really here to be as real as possible, because being as real as possible isn't necessarily conducive to building an audience. Does that make sense? Whereas being entertaining and being educational is conducive to building an audience. Because when you're educational, for example, people are learning from you. If people are learning from you, then they want to continue to see you. That's why they follow you. Make sense? And or if someone is entertaining to you, they're funny, whatever, charismatic, whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's entertaining. Well, that urges you to keep watching or keep seeing them because they can entertain you again. You get rewarded for seeing them. So already the way social media works is like, this is not supposed to be real. You're supposed to just be here to either get entertained or educated by the person you're seeing. It's not supposed to feel like real life, because real life to some degrees is like boring. It's just real life. You're just existing. It's not like you're not here for a purpose compared to, well, in the way that when you're on social media, you're there for a purpose. Whereas when you're in real life or experiencing real life, it's just real life. That's just what it is. So I urge all of you at least to put yourself in a position to understand that a lot of this shit is fake to be true. This is why creators all the time can get exposed for shit. Like, creators could be talking about this, that, and the third. When you look at their real life, it's completely different and shit, because this is not real. It is fake. Everything is a projection on the internet. And people can argue all day whether this is a good or bad thing. I'm just here stating to you guys, this is just what it is. So just accept it for what it is. I think this is all theater. All of it is theater, right? The real shit is happening in real life. If you want to see real shit, it's happening in real life. It's not that people on the internet are not speaking about real things, so you're not seeing real things on the internet, but what is real is what you actually see in real life. The internet is mainly for just entertainment or education, and that's all there is to it. And when you see it that way, I think it removes a lot of the viewing the internet or taking the internet extremely seriously. Because a lot of you niggas be getting mad over shit you're seeing on the internet. I'm like, nigga, the shit is like not real. Real life on the internet is completely different. All right, let's keep going.
Like what Nick says, I think what he's doing is important. I don't give a fuck what he says about me. I like what he does. And I think that that's actually a degree of maturity that the left have that we don't have, because they hate us so much. They're so unified and binded by their hate for us that they'll never infight over small issues. They're too busy trying to kill us.
Yeah.
And I think unless,
and at least what the left does, what's funny though, is like what they'll do is if anybody's stepping out of line on the left, they'll eat themselves. They'll be like, oh, you said the N-word, fuck you. Oh, you said there's not 69 genders, what the fuck? Like they'll basically, you know what I'm saying, they'll bring you back to the plantation. So they force you to be, they basically, the way the left is, because it's like weird. I would actually almost disagree with Tate here in a way that it's not that they're mature. They're just so immature that they force people who try to become mature to become immature again, to fall back in line into the army of believing there's 69 genders and anybody could be a man or a woman or whatever else, whatever other bullshit. Like that's how aggressive they are about it. So they force you to be a part of the army or they'll kill you, basically. So it's true. In conservatism, I think, at least what I've noticed, because conservatives tend to be more intelligent. Not all of them. I'm not talking about like the white trailer trash and all the other shit. I'm talking about like conservatives tend to be a little bit more. Let me not even really say intelligent then. Let me say a more mature. They're more aware of themselves and their emotions. They can critically think at a higher level. But because when you can kind of critically think, you become a lot more disagreeable naturally because you actually think about things. You're just not easily swayed, kind of how like most niggas are on the left. Like on the left, you just agree with whatever's bullshit is going on, because they're just ruled by emotions, the woman party basically, or the woman side of thinking. So they're just ruled by emotions. So it's like, that's all there is to it. It's just like whatever the whole group feels, you're forced to feel, and that's it. Whereas more on the conservative side, since they tend to be a lot more critical thinkers, what ends up happening is that they become very disagreeable. This is why there's a lot of infighting that you'll see in the conservative space. One of the biggest ones is over being pro-Israel or not, because you have one side that is critically thinking, another side who is critically thinking only in some ways, but choosing not to be critically thinking in other ways, especially when it comes to Israel. So it just creates a lot of infighting in the conservative movement. And I think that's actually what it's true. Like I agree with Tate then in the sense of like, that's actually kind of what's made the left stronger, is because they just all agree with themselves. It doesn't really matter. They just force you to agree. Whereas over here on the conservative side, it becomes a lot more, well, I kind of see things from a different angle as you, so we need to argue about this instead of dealing with bigger issues. It's unfortunate, but it's just the situation. So I feel like that's kind of why it becomes a constant reminder on the right wing nowadays, is like, hey, let's stop infighting. Let's focus on bigger pictures here. At least the far right, as it's currently considered.
Unless we can manage to get our heads around doing something similar, we're always going to end up, every time we get any power, just infighting and falling to pieces.
Yeah, it's just what happens. Just when, like, that's just what happens with men, you know? Like with men, especially when you're powerful and you can critically think, you just naturally are disagreeable. You just naturally are resistant to certain things. Like people have to go in and out of their way to prove certain things to you. And also when you see something to be wrong or different or whatever, you're very adamant about being like, this shit is a problem. You know what I'm saying? It's just what happens to you.
Well, I would say that as far as you three are concerned, I do believe you're all different. I think that you are different than Tucker, and I think that Tucker is different from Candace. And the reason I knew that is because when Candace went on with Tucker, Tucker said, oh, you know, this kid, he's saying my dad is in the CIA. And Candace said, yeah, and he said that I'm Russian intelligence. And Tucker said, yeah, but that's more likely than my dad being in the CIA or me being in the CIA. So in that moment, I was like, okay, so wait a second. These two are not on the same page. And I don't think you're on the same page with them even necessarily on this whole thing. And I guess what I would say about their attack is, in particular, Tucker's attack was to discredit me. And, without, I don't want to drag you into a conversation that you don't know all the information about, because I don't think that's fair. But suffice to say, the particular thrust of his attack was to say that I'm a federal operative, was to say that I'm a federal agent. And you say that the question is, how do I handle?
And I haven't really studied deeply into I didn't even watch the stream between Candace and Tucker Carlson. So I don't know where they got the information on deciding that Nick is a Fed or not. And like I even said last stream to you guys, like anybody can become anything at once, naturally when it comes to trust is earned, not given. You can just kind of look at somebody's behavior if you want to decide to trust them or not. Because like I was also saying earlier, like you will always get eventually caught in a lie, because the hardest thing about lying is maintaining the lie. So even if somebody does lie to you, if you're around them long enough, they're going to fucking slip up and you're going to catch them actually being a fraud or a liar or a Fed in Nick's case here. But based off his behavior that I've seen, because I've only really been at least paying attention to him or been aware of him since the election in November or in January, like of this year. So I've only really been aware of him over the past 8 months. So based off his behavior, it doesn't seem like he's a Fed or whatever. So I just have no reason to believe it at all. So at least in that sense, it's just important to be like, okay, if you can see somebody's behavior for a long time and their behavior seems very consistent and there hasn't really been any, holes in consistency there or any inconsistencies, it's like, well, yeah, it's like you can trust somebody, trust is earned, not given. But anyway, point is, I didn't see the stream, so I don't really know the whole information. Maybe it could have looked bad, but so far, nah, I don't think this dude's a Fed at all.
Handle that? I
don't think none of them are Feds. Like I've known Myron for a long time, not personally, obviously, but I've known or been aware of him since like 2019, 2020, when I was like 18. Tate was more like 2022 or something like that. So, over the years of them two, I'm like, okay, they seem normal. Same thing with Nick over the past 8 months. So, but you never know. Never know.
Punch back really hard? Do I sort of take my lumps, so to speak? I would say that's a very pernicious and specific charge to make, which is supposed to say, and it was almost artful the way that he did it. He said, Nick says a lot of the right things, but you shouldn't listen to him because he's not who he says he is. And that sort of says to me that they are trying to block me from having influence. They're trying to destroy my reputation so that people don't listen. And in my show against Tucker, I sort of contrasted our two positions. If it's about the movement, for me, my movement says we're about American sovereignty.
True.
We want to break free from Israel. We want to break free from Jewish oligarchs. Mm-hmm. It's identitarian. America has a white,
which I agree with. Like honestly, like how can we say we're a free country when we're controlled by a foreign government? It doesn't really make sense, right? You can't really say you're free if you're controlled by somebody else. It doesn't really make sense. So I agree with that much, and I'm 100% America first, 100%, bro. Like
character, it has a
we're the coldest country in the world when we're not controlled. So
European character, it's racial. That has a lot to do with it. We need to shut down immigration. We need to get rid of this oligarchic syndicate that's running our country. And I would question, does Tucker conform to that? Because
even with this, what he just even mentioned there, I know I'm pausing a lot, but like shit is just popping into my mind that's important to talk about. But at least from what I've seen, my at least problem with mass immigration, and I'll talk about this a little bit here, but I there's an overarching theme with this that I want you guys to also understand. See, my main problem with like immigration, right, is not that people coming here are the problem. It's just that people will come here and act the exact same way they were before coming here. Does that make sense? Think about it like this. Let's say you have your house, right? And you help somebody come to your house and they're leaving wherever they were at because they were homeless or they didn't have any place to stay or they didn't have any money. They're basically, you were homeless. They were broke. It's like you're trying to help somebody out. Like, hey, you know what? You can come stay in my house for a while, get yourself back on your feet. You know what I'm saying? And be able to go pursue something else later once you're back on your feet, right? Like you're doing a good favor here. So you're like, come here. But imagine this person then comes to your house, right? Does not want to listen to any of your rules, sleeps wherever he wants, eats whatever food he wants, takes your clothes all day. You know what I'm saying? Like any of your products that you're using in your house, takes it, just does whatever he wants. Comes in at any time of the night, does drugs in your house. Like you would be looking at him and like, nigga, what the fuck are you doing? Get the hell out of here. naturally, because it's like, why are you coming here? I've opened up my home to you here to come here and be here, and that's great. But now you're taking advantage of the situation and doing whatever you want. Wouldn't you guys view that as disrespectful? Wouldn't you guys view that as annoying? Wouldn't you want to kick them out immediately? Well, that's kind of the issue we were looking at with mass immigration. What ends up happening with mass immigration, right, is that people will come here who are not about America and are more about themselves. They come here, they do not care about the way Americans want to operate or the culture here at all, right? What it means to be free, what it means to be focused on liberty, you know what I'm saying? What it means to basically be American. So they come here and then they're like, I just want to do whatever I want. They're going to start raising the flags of their own home country. Like, how are you coming here and you're raising a Mexican flag? How are you coming here and raising any other flag that isn't American? It's basically like, it's showing that, hey, I'm here. I now own this land that you let me into. It's like, I'm here to take, not give. I don't care about you guys. So that's really where the problem lies when it comes to immigration. It's not like people coming here is the problem. Like, niggas are not stupid. No one's saying that, oh, when you come, like, we just don't want anybody here. You know what I'm saying? The reason why now we don't want anybody else here who does not want to abide by America is because too many people have come here who don't abide by America and its rules and its principles, want to change it so it serves their principles, which would lead to it not being America anymore. So we're basically letting people infiltrate our country and destroy it and change it from what it used to be or the way that we love it. I was born and raised in America my entire life. I love this country. America, the best country in the world, my niggas. This shit is lit. This American shit right here, this shit is lit. And I don't really want it to change. I don't want it to become Somalia. I don't want America to become Mexico. I don't want America to become fucking Egypt. I don't want it to become any of those things because it would end up not being America. And I'd be like, okay, well, if I'm living in Egypt, like here is basically America's becoming a second Egypt. I might as well move to Egypt. You guys understand? So it just becomes a very large issue. And that's the biggest issue with mass immigration. I'm saying this too with having two immigrant parents. I'm a first generation. My dad's from Nigeria, my mom's from Cameroon. So I'm saying this even though it even goes against my own personal biases. I should be all for immigration and mass immigration and people just coming here, you know, because that's how my parents came and they gave me the opportunity here. But I see the whole situation. I love America. I'm like, no, I don't want this country to not be the way it is right now. Because let me play this out for you niggas. Because just like my parents came here for the opportunity that was in America and then gave birth to me and have given me the opportunity to become successful and make a name for myself here. That opportunity came because of the culture of America. It didn't come just because the opportunity was here. The opportunity came after America had created a culture where the opportunity could be here. And this is what a lot of stupid ass liberals don't understand, because what they'll always argue is that, well, immigrants come here and stimulate the economy. But nigga, it's bigger than the economy. Because if I told you right now and I said, hey, I'll give you $5 million, but you have to sell your soul to me. And you lose all your sovereignty and you lose all your freedom. You can't make your own decisions ever again for the rest of your life. I'll give you $5 million for that. You'll sit there and be like, fuck no, that's not worth it. Because you maintaining your freedom and independence and your ability to make your own decisions is worth more than $5 million and probably a lot more money than that. So you even sitting here know that like not everything is just worth it for money. There's some things that are way more important than money. In the same way that I don't care how many immigrants come here and, you know, make money or stimulate the economy if they're unwilling to assimilate to American culture. Because what will happen is they will come here, they're stimulating the economy, but they're changing the culture more and more and more and more till what happens? Till we have a bunch of people stimulating the economy, but now America looks like India. It's like, nigga, we just lost the whole plot. What's fun to be here is the culture in itself. And by culture, I mean the way people behave, the rules, the principles. That's what I mean by culture. It's like culture just means the way people behave somewhere. I don't want a bunch of niggas coming from the third world coming here, changing the way everybody behaves, but they stimulate the economy, but the country's shit now. Now it's India. Now it's Egypt. Now it's Somalia. I don't fuck with that. That's what makes it not worth it. You have to be able to look in the long term here. It's not just about the money. So I just want you guys to understand, like, that's just my main problem with mass immigration. And it's even just goes to a deeper point for you as a man to understand that the culture and the environment you're around matters. It controls a lot. If you've ever been on a competitive sports team, you understand this. The culture of a insanely incredible team for whatever sport you played compared to a shitty team is completely different. And what you'll notice is that when the culture of a team is very, very good, they tend to perform very well because the whole team is abiding by the rules and regulations of said team, and that's allowing for the high performance. But when you look at a team that's pretty shit, their culture is always shit, meaning the rules and regulations that they abide by in the team is pretty trash. People coming up, people showing up late to practice and shit. You know what I'm saying? Not listening to the coach, like shit like that. Like that's not good. It doesn't matter how good the players are on that team. If the culture is shit, they'll still lose to a team that has a better culture. And America has one of the best cultures in the world, and we're losing that shit. And it's not worth it. So I just wanted to let you guys understand that. Like I want you guys to understand that on a deep level and just always make sure you're thinking things through when you're thinking about a situation or just in general when it comes to governments or politics. It's like, well, you have to be always able to see the bigger picture. You have to play things out. Because if you don't play things out, everything sounds like a good idea in the moment. But when you play shit out, it's not worth it. And I want you guys to be long-term minded. That's what it means to even be ambitious in the end. You know, when you're ambitious and you're looking towards the future, that's the point. You want to make sure you're making decisions that are conducive to a good future. So, yeah, it's my little speech there on immigration and why I think it's bad and why it's stupid and why we actually don't need any more immigration, you know?
He insists, I have never talked about racial replacement migration. He insists, I'm not an enemy of Israel. I love Israel. I love going to Israel. Now, you know, what movement is he a part of? He's part of the movement where you work for Fox News for 20 years. And then when the whole world gets red-pilled, now you're going to talk about Israel a little bit. Is the movement where your dad's in the CIA? Is the movement where you call up Trump and tell him to do a COVID lockdown? Is the movement where you say you hate Trump and you're ready to see him go away because you can't stand him? I don't know who Tucker is. I know who I am. And I would say that when push comes to shove, I have a much better case to make that I'm a credible voice than he does. I would make the case that my movement, to the extent that it's different, is much more consistent with what's right and where the people are at.
And also what I would say too is here, like he suffered a lot more for his decisions. You know, as I've mentioned last stream and streams before, like the nigga pretty much lost all his career opportunities at 18 because he was speaking out against Jews. He was questioning Jewish power. He's like, the fuck's going on in our country? You know, so he lost everything. So like, that already quickly can make somebody credible. I'm be real, because they've lost more for some shit. If you've lost hella shit for something, you know, when you speak about shit, it makes what you're saying just naturally a lot more credible because there's just been higher stakes for you. You know, this is also why I've said a lot of the times why women's opinions don't matter and why as a man you really shouldn't care about women's opinions. And I'll talk about this a little bit too. It's important to realize the main reason why you should not care about women's opinions as a man is simply due to the fact that women don't have the same stakes as you as a man. You know since birth that you have been given a burden of performance. That's why they always tell you since you've been born, hey, man, you got to, you know, make money. You got to go get a job. You got a career so you can do what? So you can take care of a family, so you can provide and protect for a family, your wife and children. We've immediately been given a burden of performance. The stakes have already been there for us. If we don't become useful, if we don't pursue a career, if we don't gain status, money, or whatever, you know, we're not going to get anything. Our lives are going to be horrible. It's going to be shit. So boom, burden of performance. Women, they're fine. At least because of feminism, it's whatever now. They can literally do whatever they want. They have no masters. It's, hey, if you want to be a housewife, fine. Hey, if you want to pursue a career and not give a fuck about a man and be an independent woman, fine. You can do that shit too. Meaning there is no L, because as a woman, you can choose whatever. It doesn't matter. There's no L. There's no stakes. But as I just outlined, for us, there are stakes. And even to take it a step deeper, there's a lot more stakes for us because we potentially have to go fight and die in wars, especially if you're young men, right? If Trump is like, no, man, we're going to war. We got nuclear war. We got World War III going down. You niggas getting drafted. We can't say no. We got to go. And if you do say no, then you're getting fined or whatever. Like there's repercussions for that. So we have stakes. Like we have to die for this country, which makes our stakes higher. Women don't have to die for this country. Women are not enlisted into the selective service. We are as men, but they are not. So there's no stakes for them. And because there's no stakes for them, their opinions are weaker. And to even take that a step further, even if the opinions are valid, they still don't matter. Because they don't lose anything for their opinions. They have nothing to lose. We do. We can lose our lives when it comes to politics. We could lose our lives. We could have to go fight and die in a war. That's just what could happen. So I think it's just even really important as a reminder here is that like you should never really be taking women's opinions on anything seriously. simply due to the fact because they do not live the same life as you. You are fundamentally different from them. You have a burden of performance, they don't, meaning the stakes for you are way higher than theirs. So naturally, their opinions and experiences on the world, well, not their experiences, but more their opinions and perspectives are naturally less valuable because the stakes for them are lower. Understand? Because they have lower stakes, their opinions and perspectives are less valuable than a man's, because a man could potentially have to fight and die for this country if shit were to go down. Because we're already even just born with a natural burden of performance too. You could have to fight and die to protect your family, right? You go to work, you do all these things, not for yourself, but for your family. So we already have all this responsibility. And because we have this responsibility, we have authority in our opinions and our perspectives. Whereas for women, it doesn't matter what these bitches think. I'm gonna be real with y'all, it does not matter. Do you have to go fight and die in a war? No. Do you have a burden of performance? No. Is he either get rich or die trying for you? No, because as a woman, nope. You could choose to get rich, or you could just choose to have a family. A guy just marries you, you're fine. So I just want you guys to keep that shit in your mind and be like, okay, you know what I'm saying? It's not to be disrespectful to women or anything like that. It's way more just understand that these bitches' opinions don't matter. And you cannot take them seriously at all. There's other reasons why you can't take them seriously, but just from a more technical understanding, at least from a political standpoint, this is why women's opinions and perspectives on shit really doesn't fucking matter. But I'll talk more extensively in the future what other reasons of why their opinions don't matter. But yeah.
If he wants to make it me versus him, be my guest, I don't think he's going to like where that goes on a long enough timeline. So that's why I said to Alex Jones yesterday, I said, I would love to privately or publicly talk to Tucker. If he thinks I'm a fad, if he cares about the movement, then, you know, look, I'm not going away anytime soon. He needs to listen and take me seriously, obviously, because his attack on me backfired. I think he needs to put up or shut up. Have me on the show and debate the differences, make the case I'm a fad, or get with the fucking program. But that's kind of where I'm at with him. So
that's also kind of fair, too. I mean, like, if niggas are going to make accusations about you, then they should at least want to fucking talk to you.
With you.
This is why
I do have a...
This is also why niggas make fun of Charlie Kirk all the time, because this nigga is so scared to debate Nick. It's actually super fucking funny. Because, I mean, anyway, he's in an indefensible position because he defends Israel. So he's kind of cooked no matter what. Even if he debated fucking Tate, Myron, Nick, or it wouldn't really matter, he'd be cooked either way because he knows he's not in a good position. So he just is going to avoid it at all costs. He's just going to debate like fucking liberal bullshit, which is like, nigga, we know these niggas are stupid. Like,
consciousness of the movement. And I think that maybe Tucker plays a role in this movement and maybe Candace plays a role, but I think they need to have a team player mentality. I can't be expected to have all the magnanimity in the world and all the patience and tolerate the kind of nonsense they're throwing my way. That's kind of my position because I like you a lot. And I think, you know, when you and I had our disagreement on Twitter, you said, fuck it, let's get on a stream. I love that. I think that's honest. Mm-hmm. I think, you know, like
that's clean. And I was even saying, I think 2 streams ago, I'm like, this shit is lit when these niggas want to come and really talk because these niggas don't do this shit a lot. You know, obviously niggas are busy trying to cook and do whatever they want to do. You know what I'm saying? Or do whatever they need to do. They all got their own independent shit going on. But it's like when they do get together, this is great. You know what I'm saying? Because in a way, like what I would love to see is like a completely new right wing. Like fuck all the conservatives that are like, oh, you should just marry these hoes and whatever. No, we need a new right wing. An actually masculine right wing that is actually pro-man and pro-masculinity again. Like, we need this shit back. So I would love in the future to just see these niggas do this shit a lot more. It's just great. And obviously, because I can sit here and analyze this shit and break this shit down in a way that I think is valuable. So, yeah, I would really hope they do this shit a lot more. But I think actually Myron did mention some shit where they're going to actually get together like a month from now in September. So, you know, I guess it's lit, bro. It's lit.
Dad, we don't agree on everything. And I've taken issue with things you've said and vice versa, but we can kind of talk about where we align. And first of all, we can talk. I think we should expect the same thing from them as well. And in particular, Tucker. So that's sort of where I'm at because I sort of see what you're saying, but I got to stick up for myself a little bit in this case.
Totally get it. And that's my point about the tweet I made. And I totally understand how the timing was suspect. But even recently, even today, one more thing I want to say when it comes to your movement as a whole. And once again, I need to stay in my lane because it's not my movement. It's yours and you've built it. And most importantly, you've suffered for it. It wasn't handed to you. You suffered to build what you've built, which is why it's so strong and so powerful. Same as my movement, which, you know, I would say it's moved over now. I did my job. And I would argue that we moved into a new era where we have new concerns. when I was saying the things I was saying at the time, it was groundbreaking, and now everybody says them. And there's always going to be a part of you which is a bit like, okay, so when it was dangerous to say these things,
because like almost like Tate shit was just more women shit. Mainly, it's like these hoes are actually entitled. What the fuck is going on? And just even just basic masculine stuff. It's true though. Like now, when you kind of think about it, compared to like 2022 to compared to 2025, now it's like the women shit. Knowing these bitches are insufferable nowadays and are super entitled, which is bad for society, as we've naturally seen. And feminism is bad for society, and being critical of it, like it's just become like, hey, it's a known thing now at this point that everybody knows like women are crazy, you know? So it is kind of funny when you see it like that. Like, yeah, it's just like, that's the shit that for him or Tate's movement in that way was just kind of like crazy when you think about it. At least how much shit has changed in like 3 years time. But anyway, shit moves fast, bro.
Did it. And now it's not dangerous. Everyone says it. And it pisses you off a little bit. So I also understand perhaps when you just mentioned, you said there that Tucker's now saying it when everyone else is.
Now it's gonna be lit though. Now I need to find a wild shit to say. I'm like, what's the next groundbreaking wild shit that's gonna be? Because I'm even trying to think, and I'm like, what's the next like red pill? I mean, it's still a lot of not that there's a lot of men out there that, you know, understand the true nature of women or understand Jewish power in the United States, but I'm even wondering like, what's even the next red pill that a lot of people don't understand? Because I guess the Jewish power thing is more of like political red pilling. And then for dating, understanding women is like the red pill. Like when it comes to just women, or even when people hear the word red pill, they think women, generally speaking. They don't think like segmented between politics and women or whatever. But politics is just Jewish power. For women, it's just understanding their true nature and why feminism doesn't work and how women actually want fucking superiors only. They don't want to be equal to a man and shit like that. Like, yeah. But anyway, a new red pill come out about something every single, I don't know, decade or so. I haven't been alive long enough to really know this shit for sure. I'm just talking, but yeah.
Saying it. There's going to be a bit of personal, like, hey, I got debanked. I couldn't fly. I suffered for this. Like, I went to jail for what I said, and now everyone tweets it all day long and calls me a fed. Part of you is going to be like, well, that's ungrateful of the masses, isn't it? Because I was the one who was suffering to even say this stuff in the first place, which is a real important point. So,
but the thing is, too, what I've noticed is that it's important to understand that at least a lot of young men need to understand that being a hero is not something like you'll see in like anime or some shit, you know, or you'll see in like comic books where like everybody's praising you and rooting for you and shit like that. I mean, at least if you've seen a few Spider-Man comics, not that I've read Spider-Man comics that deeply, but I've noticed is that when people talk about him, they're like, yeah, this nigga be suffering his comics. Like that nigga is never happy. It's just all suffering all day with a little bit of good shit and then suffering again. So like, that's really what it means to be a hero though. You know, you take all the risk, you take on all the pain, you take on all the suffering, and the people kind of get to sow, or people get to enjoy the fruits of your labor. Does that make sense? I think that's just what it means to be a good leader. I've also talked about before in a few streams back about what it really truly means to be a leader. And what it actually means to be a leader is just take on more suffering than anybody else for the least reward. Basically, everyone gets the benefit from your suffering except for you. I mean, that's what it means to be a hero. You know, you get to be a hero because you took on more suffering than anybody else for the least amount of gain, whereas everybody else gains. Kind of like how he was talking about how like this nigga had to go to jail for what he was saying. This nigga got debanked for what he's saying, and now everybody kind of says it now. Well, that's kind of the mission of a hero. That's the goal of a hero. The hero is the one who frees all the slaves. You get me? That's the point of being a hero. Like you're the one who frees everybody, right? You were getting chased, you were getting killed, you were getting attacked, you lost a leg or an eyeball or whatever just to get to the gate to then free all the slaves. And now everybody gets to be free when you had to basically die just getting everybody free or becoming free yourself. So I think that's the thing with being a hero. And that's just something I think all men need to understand when it comes to being a leader in general. You know, it's just all suffering all day, all the time for the sake of other people, you know, and I guess the benefit you get to see is seeing everybody free and enjoy the fruits of your labor. So, but I kind of get how, like, in some ways you'd look at it and be like, man, look at all the shit I went through just for these niggas to be able to do this shit that they're doing and for no consequence. But, you know, that's what it means to be a leader and a hero, bro.
I understand exactly where you're coming from. I totally get it. And one more thing with the whole Groyper movement as a whole, and I just want to say these things, and I'm saying them from an outside perspective. I am a friend of your movement. I consider myself a friend of yours. I believe in what you guys are doing. You're fucking hilarious. I'm not an enemy in any regard. But I do think that it's very difficult. We have to draw a line somewhere, and we have to have some degree of, well, what are the parameters then? Okay, Tucker did attack Nick, perhaps, or Candace attacked Nick, perhaps, fine. But if they are exposing XYZ, is that worthwhile? And also, we have to come along and say, sometimes these tedious links can be exaggerated upon. Only a few hours ago, I retweeted Milo, and you wrote a tweet underneath it saying that this is very suspicious. This was a few hours ago. And I retweeted Milo because Milo defended me, saying that all these court cases against me, nobody can seem to put me in jail. Nobody has any proof.
Which is
I
true.
didn't think, Milo and Nick, I don't know the story of you two, to be honest.
I understand how that's kind of hard, though, just because of the whole Jewish situation going on. And like how so long niggas have been told it's just, it's a conspiracy theory. Oh, Jewish power in the United States, this is a conspiracy. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So it's like the only way to really prove some shit is to just make a lot of, or as many connections as you can. Because you just basically need overwhelming evidence to change somebody's mind at this point. So I think what I would kind of, in rebuttal to what Tate's saying here, I think the Groypers in this sense are like really sensitive to anybody's movements or behavior, because they've had to be for so long to prove that Jewish power is a problem. Because if they weren't tedious of everybody's behavior and trying to connect dots over here and over there and over here, like a lot of niggas wouldn't really start to realize how much credence a lot of their suspicion of Jewish power in the United States has been. Like that's really helped out a lot. So I kind of get how, like, you know, these, like, I would be sensitive too. Like if I went through so much to prove something, and I've connected dot over here, over here. You ever seen those fucking movies? You ever seen those fucking movies where the detective, you know, will have all the newspapers up on the wall and shit, and then be putting the thumbtacks and connect this shit here and here? That's basically what the Groypers have been doing for years. I'll be honest. So for them, when they see a nigga do some shit or retweet or like something, they're, oh, fuck no, bruh. Like they're gonna connect the dots. They're gonna connect the dots. They're gonna be like, what the fuck is going on? So I kind of understand a little bit why they're very sensitive to anybody's behavior, because it could be a link. But it's unfortunate because, you know, you can overcorrect with things. So
I now know you don't like each other. I don't know why. And with all due respect, I don't care. He defended me, so I retweeted it. I also retweeted a 3-person account who defended me with 3 followers. He could be a pedo. I don't fucking know. I just retweeted it. So sometimes there's too much noticing, and there's too many strings drawn, and there's too much, you know, people are looking for insult where it doesn't really exist. And I think that's one of the other things, separate to Candace and Tucker, because that was very deliberate against you, as you've just explained. One of the other things that I catch flack for from your movement is I breathe in the wrong direction, and perhaps a Jew was pointing that way when he breathed in 1941. And before you know it, I've got these spurgs spamming all over Twitter. And the reason that that's a bad thing is not because I give a shit. It's because it genuinely delegitimizes what you're trying to do.
Well, and I think you're legit. I think that, you know, as far as the Milo thing is concerned, the only reason I even mentioned it is because Candace did her show with me. She did her show with Tucker, and then she does a show with Milo. Elon Musk replies to Milo calling me a fed. You know, then you come in and kind of, you didn't really pick a side, but you sort of said the Brigitte Macron.
I don't really know who I've seen this Milo guy's tweets. I think there was a situation with Elon Musk's baby mama, Ashley Sinclair, and I think that's the first time I ever saw him. Like he was tweeting some wild shit about her that was funny as shit. That's all I really remember. I don't even really know who the guy is, so maybe I'll do some little bit of research on that after this, or at least a little bit later.
Things legit, and you said the Groypers talk too much about the Jews, or you know, that they blame the Jews or something, and then you retweeted Milo. It looked like it was coordinated. I hope you understand that. And
you know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm saying about his movement, bro. Like these niggas have been going so hard to prove this shit for so long. So it's like they're gonna see patterns, bro. They're not gonna avoid any weird behavior. Like I said just a few minutes ago, it's an overcorrection probably at this point, but that's just what's gonna happen. That's what I'm saying. Like these niggas aren't even disagreeing about anything. It's just like a happenstance. Like it's just a cause and effect of what's going on. You know, not really anything malicious. It's just how the niggas move.
I think that people need to scrutinize these things because, as you know, and you know, you're brilliant on politics.
See, I haven't seen this part of the stream. I haven't seen this part of the stream, y'all. That's what I'm saying. Like, I've not seen this part of the stream. So he's getting ready to say exactly what I was just saying. Like, it's just what happens. They're so used to doing shit like this.
I consider you a friend too, and I consider what you have built to be one of the most positive things that's happened in the 2020s. And I even come down on your side when you're arguing with Catholics like Matt Walsh, because honestly, a lot of the Catholic, you know, white right, they're pussies when it comes to women. And a lot of the trad stuff is.
And that's why all this shit is fucked now. Because these niggas, they're dumb. Like, they're not really out here. This is why I always even tell you guys, like, real skill comes from real experience. A lot of these trad motherfuckers, these trad white dudes, bro, they have not been in the dating game for like a decade, 2 decades plus. They have no fucking clue how these bitches are moving out here, bro. They don't understand the level of whoredom that's going on. They really have no fucking clue. They're just telling y'all get married because Christian way. But you're trying to fit a star in a circle hole, my nigga. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work that way anymore. So it's just kind of unfortunate. I mean, anyway, this is why Tate's rise in popularity and rise to power, all these things, it just makes sense because it's a response to the nonsense going on.
100% steered by women. So, yeah. I mean, your thing on patriarchy, in my opinion, is indispensable. It's literally indispensable. And it's like, it's actually a good thing that we're in the Tate generation of young kids that are saying, you know, what color is your Bugatti and all. I think it's actually a really good thing.
It's great.
But with that being said, as far as these,
like, we're gonna be cooking, bro. I ain't gonna lie. The fam gonna grow. Like, we're gonna be cooking. Like, I think we're gonna be all right. I'll be honest. I think we're gonna be fine. Jewish power, we're gonna deal with that shit. Women getting back in line, we're gonna be all right. I think we're gonna lose a lot of niggas on the way. I'll be honest. You know, I think we're gonna lose a lot of niggas on the way. I think I said a few streams back too, like, okay, if we wanted this shit to change like instantaneously, we got to have World War III. Like, unless we got something catastrophic that's going to go down, like, it's going to be cooked, but more dudes are going to get red pilled on women and really understand what's going on. And of course, become a lot more masculine for sure. So I think in the future, a lot of things are going to get fixed. And that's kind of the beauty that the internet has given. Obviously, the internet has caused a lot of problems. It also has helped a lot of different things, because a lot of, you know, young people are aware of things they otherwise wouldn't be aware of till it was too late. So
connections are concerned, I think transparency is the solution. Yeah. You know, you coming on this and saying, hey, I just retweeted him just because. Okay, valid, legitimate. I hear you. But in a lot of these cases, typically where there's smoke, there's fire. And I like to draw these connections because this is how politics operates. You do get these networks that come together. They're networks of patronage. They're networks of money. I'm not going to lie to you. A lot of people.
That's why a lot of times, even too, from a political standpoint, or what I think one of the biggest things that I would say has woken the most people up to Jewish power in America has been AIPAC and seeing the politicians get paid by AIPAC. Because if you want to know what somebody's incentives are, what somebody's motivations are, more often than not, if you want to see why someone moves the way that they move, you just got to follow the money. And because AIPAC was giving our politicians so much money, and AIPAC is the Israel lobby, it's like, well, clearly our politicians are going to act in favor of whatever Israel wants because they're getting paid by an Israel lobby. They're getting paid by a foreign lobbying group. You see what I'm saying? It's like, that's where the connections kind of follow. And definitely 100% I agree. From a political standpoint, my nigga, you just got to follow the bread, bro.
Came to me privately and said, I'm on your side. I agree with you, but I can't speak out against Tucker because he's done things for me, because he's a friend of mine. And I've heard that from a lot of people. I'm not going to name names. Some of them said it publicly. Glenn Greenwald, Ian Carroll. They said a lot of nice things about me. Dave Smith, too. But they also said, you know, I don't even really want to weigh in because I like Tucker. Now, you know, in our political battle, we actually have to be willing to criticize people. We have to be willing to scrutinize those kinds of things. And someone like Tucker, you know, he's got some explaining to do. He said he didn't know his dad was in the CIA. He lied. He did know that. Now, if we're coming for the Matrix, and insofar as the Matrix is the deep state, we're going to need an answer on that. I would like an answer on that, as well as some of these other things. Fair. And so that's where it's like, I agree with you. There is 100%, there can be a schizo tendency. And unfortunately, when you introduce concepts like Palantir, a limited hangout, when you introduce that to low IQ people, they'll start seeing it everywhere. You know, and unfortunately,
yeah, like there's not gonna be any hesitation. Like it's just a rabbit hole you kind of go down, bruh. But I think it's been a valuable skill that the Groypers have had because they've been right about a lot of shit. So it's hard to tell them, hey, stop noticing everything and stop paying attention to every little detail, because doing so has actually allowed them to prove to such a deep level how much power Jews actually have in the US government. I'm be honest, like they've been doing good shit. Let's keep it a stack, bruh. Let's keep it real. You know what I'm saying? You got to give niggas credit where it's due. So if they're kind of overdoing it a little bit, it's kind of like makes sense. But of course, you know, there's no problem with being like, all right, let's chill out a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So we don't start looking too crazy.
it is true. I've seen it. People like trip on their shoelace and say this was a Palantir limited hangout. You know, it does happen. But in many cases, we actually do need transparency on some of these connections, because it's not lost on me that, you know, like Tucker Carlson, one of his critiques of me, he said that I am delegitimized.
Anyway, actually, what I'd actually say is the biggest thing to take away from all of this is that if you got a problem with a nigga, just talk to him. If you got a problem with somebody, then just talk to that nigga. A lot of these issues, even when Nick's talking about all this other shit, bro, it's just kind of like you just need to talk to niggas. Then that's just what it looks like to me. For them, Tate and Nick are obviously cool. They sat here at a conversation, or they're sitting here having a conversation, and they're cool. So it's like what this tells you is that like a lot of shit is really just a misunderstanding. I mean, a lot of niggas have died. Like wars have been fought over simple misunderstandings, y'all. Wars have been fought over simple misunderstandings. Like a lot of times you just need to be able to go and talk and have a conversation with somebody to clear some shit up. You know? When you just already start fighting and shit, sure, it's entertaining for niggas on the outside from a social media standpoint. Oh, yeah, seeing niggas fight. Oh, yeah, niggas love that shit. That shit is lit. I'm not going to lie. It's funny watching that shit. But from a, hey, let's take care of this enemy that's controlling our government standpoint, you guys have to be careful of throwing accusations at each other without being able to actually sit and then have a conversation about it. Because what ends up happening is like niggas are arguing and it's not benefiting anyone. You can have disagreements, but if you have a discussion, then it doesn't really matter. I've said also multiple times between last stream and the stream before of how like you're always going to find something that you like and don't like about somebody. You know, even if you really like somebody, you're going to disagree on something. But if you can't talk about your disagreement, it obviously is going to boil over in some other way that's not good. In this case, it was just boiling over on social media of niggas just arguing with each other rather than, hey, how about we just sit down together and have a conversation to clear everything up and then move on and focus on more important shit. A lot of times, bro, you got an issue with somebody, go talk to somebody, bro. You want to actually go and have the hard conversations. And that's something that I also would just say to you guys that's just super important that I even want to say as well. Like, bro, if you have an issue with somebody, then just go have the hard conversation. You got to tell somebody, even from whatever goals that you're pursuing right now, go have the hard conversations. Because there's conversations that you should be having right now that you're choosing not to, and it's holding you fucking back. Let's be real. There's somebody, let's say you're working in a business. You have your business that you're working in, and then you have an employee that's not really performing the way that you want them to perform. Well, if you sit there and you never have a conversation with them, they're going to keep performing shit and your business is going to suffer. That's fucking shit, right? You don't fuck with that. Okay, so what do? You actually have to go have the hard conversation. You have to be like, hey, I'm going to be honest, you're not really performing the way that I want you to perform. Let's see how we can fix this or what we need to do. If I need to let you go because this isn't the best environment for you to work in, you don't really abide by the mission we have going on here, that's fine. We'll find somebody else for you. You see what I'm saying? Like, you have to develop that capability. And the only way you get better at having hard conversations is how? By having them. You actually need to go talk to niggas. If you have an issue with somebody, go talk. It's like there's nothing else to do. You go talk to them. You get better at the hard conversations by having them. And you don't want to let the fact that you're not winning in life or you're not doing the shit that you want to do, right? Or you're not able to get something done simply because you're too scared to have a conversation with somebody or you're avoiding it because you're angry or whatever. When it's like, nigga, just go talk to them. You know what I'm saying? It could be done and dusted, clear. No violence, no anything else, no wasted time or energy or effort. Just go have the hard conversation, bro. So, all right, let's keep it going.
Someone like JD Vance. And I said, well, wait a second. You know, Tucker had JD Vance on his show 46 times. Tucker made a personal appeal to Trump to choose Vance as his nominee. Now, Candace does not seem to be gung-ho about Vance. So there might be some, like I said, I think Candace is different than Tucker, and they're both different than you. But when Tucker came at me with that, I said, wait a second. He's calling me CIA. His dad is CIA. His friend Joe Kent is CIA. His buddy JD Vance works for Peter Thiel, who's a CIA contractor. That's a lot of CIA.
Yeah,
That's
a lot
a
of
ton
connections
of CIA going on. And he lied about what he knew about the CIA. That's where I say, okay, sometimes where there's smoke, there's fire. So, you know, I 100% agree. There can be a tendency to get a little schizo, or maybe there's like a low IQ version of what we talk about. But I don't think I'm wrong about a lot of these connections. Yeah. And, you know, when you...
because the nigga hasn't been wrong. Based off what I've seen, at least in the last 8 months, the nigga has not been wrong about a lot of shit, bro. So, you know, it's hard to really knock the schizo type behavior if it's working and it's seeing shit. You know, if it's working, why would you be like, this is bad, I should stop acting like this?
Reposted Milo, and, you know, maybe you'll admit it could have come across as a bad look. And that's why it's helpful when you said, that's how I know you're legit. A lot of people behind the scenes tell me, you got to press Tate. Tate's the enemy. Remind him his dad was in the CIA. What I respect about you is you talk to me. I have your number. I talk to you. I've been on streams with you. You're transparent. You said your dad is in the CIA. We didn't have to dig that out of anywhere. And to me, that's the difference. Is there that transparency?
Yeah.
If you're transparent, you know, we can ask the question, it gets answered, and we could say, okay, that's good enough. But if people hide or lie or they're not forthcoming, that's where there's a little scrutiny. So that's where I'm at on that. I do think
there really just should be, you know what I'm saying? I think the most powerful position you can ever be in, especially as a man too, is just, anyway, I've already talked about the honorable integrity thing, is like the transparency. It just puts you in an insane power position because nobody can like out you out of your name or manipulate you, because it's like you have nothing to hide. If you have nothing to hide, then nobody can do anything to you. It's the most powerful position to be in. Obviously, it's harder in the onset because it's like you're being open and honest and people know these personal things about you, right? And obviously you're like, I wish people didn't kind of know this about me. But because they know, now they can't manipulate you or control you because you're an open book. You're not hiding anything, you know? So that's a position you do always want to be in. It's good to own your shit like that, you know? That's what I was saying earlier, the whole thing of like, if you just don't know something, just say you don't know, because then nobody can hold you to the fact that, oh, look at you, you lied about saying you know this and whatever, and then nobody trusts you anymore. Whereas if you just come out and be like, I don't know this, I don't have this, I don't move this way or whatever, it puts you in a power position.
It's important to look at some of those things.
No, it makes perfect sense. And just once again, from the very outside perspective, and I have to make it clear that I'm not as versed on all of these topics as a lot of the people who are watching this, but I've barely been online. I pop up online. I see there's this feud going on. The first thing I felt was a degree of sadness, to be honest. I mean, that's what I felt. And it was the same with Elon and Trump. I disagreed with Elon about H1B1. I think everybody did with a brain. Nobody wants that shit.
That was gay.
It's a joke. But I think by and large,
you guys just heard my whole spiel earlier on mass immigration. But if you just came in here, basically I'm saying the shit is dumb. We don't need more niggas who are not American in this motherfucker. It's gonna ruin everything. It's not worth it to get a better economy if we lose what our sense of being American. You know, if we lose our culture, it's not worth it.
He's done fantastic things. I think that Twitter, if he never bought it, by now would be so fully locked down. I think he did help with the culture. I think he made some massive positive pushes in the correct direction,
which is facts.
And maybe a lot of this is going to be personality driven. Perhaps this is just me from a personality perspective, but if somebody does something good, I try very hard to not forget what they've done. The internet is a very fast moving place. There's a lot of ungratefulness on the internet because you can do something amazing on a Monday and everyone hates you on a Tuesday.
Because it's just entertainment. It's just entertainment, bro. It has nothing to do like, bro, it's just like when you watch your favorite show or TV show or some shit, bro. Like you have the niggas that you fuck with in the current season, and then next season they become shit, so you don't fuck with them anymore. It's like, that's what I'm saying even way earlier in the stream when I was saying like this whole internet shit is just a facade. Because the point of the internet is not to be real as possible. It's to be as entertaining or educational as possible. That's it. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you're entertaining to some people and sometimes you're not entertaining. Sometimes you're educational, sometimes you're not. It's like, it's just what it is.
because it's fun to hate people and it's interesting and trolling is fun. And
Yeah,
that's kind
it's
of how
like-
it works. But when Trump and Elon started arguing and there was the big division, I felt a degree of sadness. When I saw that Tucker, Candace, and you didn't get along, I really, perhaps I'm a sentimental old man, I felt like we'd all be better if we were to a degree on the same team. And we're never all going to agree on everything. I like what you said about the transparency point. That's fantastic. Me, from a personality perspective, if there's orcs at my gate, I'm prepared to work with somebody who I disagree with on 99% of the problems besides let's kill the orcs. So I noticed as well, a lot of the Groypers are constantly retweeting and constantly hammering Tristan for support.
And I think at this point, the United States is really in deep shit when it comes to Israel right now. Like in deep enough shit to where it's the orcs at the door right now. Honestly, it really is, bro. With how deeply we're controlled and occupied with the decision making, the government is making, with these anti-Semitism bills and shit like that, like deporting college kids for, speaking out against the Israel lobby, like shit like that. It's like, bro, like that's a big issue. So it's like the orcs at the door, like let's worry about that shit first.
Supporting JD Vance. Well, JD Vance is the only American politician who talks about the fact that we don't have any freedom of speech in Europe. JD Vance was the only politician who talked about the fact that Romania, the country we're in, the country that locked us up, overthrew their own election. He's the only one who called it out.
True.
So perhaps at a deeper level, things I do not know, or there's some things about him I would not like, perhaps. But initially, the initial battle.
I'm going to let him finish his point here, and then I think we'll stop here. And we'll be back again tomorrow, as I was saying earlier, either 6 p.m. Eastern time or 8 p.m. Eastern time. But just between that time, be ready. I'll stream.
In Europe, we can't even talk. He's the only one sticking up for us. And it's kind of like this infinitely divisible problem, which is a problem we're going to have with the entire movement, especially if we're successful. The more successful we are, the more fragmented it's going to become. As I said, if we had a white-only nation,
it's like Rome, nigga.
Italians would fight the Spanish, who would fight the Germans. And before you know it, the North and the South would hate each other. And you'd be a Texan, and you'd be from Chicago, and everyone would hate each other again, even though we're all the same skin color. That's how it was before. That's why Europe was at constant war. So this infinite divisible problem is a real one. And we kind of have to find a way, especially, and this is me speaking out of turn because it's your movement, it's not my movement. But for you, I would say you have to kind of try to find a way to give some hard parameters and allow people who are not as intelligent as you, not as smart as you, not as well versed as you, and most of your fans are not going to be. That's why you're the star, to sit and say, okay, where does someone fall? Are they on the good side or the bad side? Because perhaps they did this and this and this, but by and large, they've done X, Y, Z. I always thought, in my infinite ignorance, that Ian Carroll was a good guy. He exposed things, and I watched his videos, and I thought, that's interesting, that's interesting, that's interesting. And then I saw his feed, and everyone was calling him a Jewish plant. And I'm like, what the fuck? Maybe I just don't know enough. Maybe I'm ignorant and dumb. But I was like, how the fuck is he a Jew? He's literally said the opposite the whole way.
That's fucking
So
wild,
I do think
bro.
this is some kind of issue which is going to be nearly impossible to solve because the internet's the internet, and this is how it works. And also, I will state this, even my movement, there are people in my movement who are retards, and they'll go to the gym and they'll hit their chest and they'll tell every woman to fuck off.
I mean, anyway, that's why this is why I was also saying 2 streets ago, like, look, man, it doesn't matter. You're going to have retarded niggas everywhere. It's not like retarded niggas are going to just be everywhere. It don't matter. It's inescapable.
And, they'll walk around with a gun saying they're a G, and they're fucking retards, and they're part of my movement. And that's going to be part of every single movement. That's part of it. I just think we need to.
So see, bro, even before, bro, I'm telling you, this part of the stream, I did not fucking watch. I swear if you go back to like 2-3 streams ago when I was streaming this, or the first day I streamed this shit, I swear I said this exact thing, bro. Like every single movement gonna have derps. That's just what happens. It just happens, It's statistically going to happen. When the movement becomes big enough, it's just gonna happen. When the fam gets big enough, y'all, we're gonna have retarded niggas. And I fuck with y'all because you fuck with the fam. I'm talking about you future fam niggas. I fuck with y'all because you fuck with the fam. But you're a dumbass. You're a retard. You don't have to be, but you are.
Try our very best if we want to make a serious political and genuine change. You're right. We have to draw connections. We have to notice patterns. That's what you've done fantastically. That's what you've built your brand on. And perhaps my transparency allows me to sit down and explain that my father was discharged dishonorably for not following orders and that we never even got a military pension and grew up destitute. You can all look that up online. Perhaps my transparency helps me, yes. But sometimes I see so much stuff being thrown around. I always like to think of things from the enemy's perspective. If I was them and I saw you fighting with Candace, fighting with Tucker, and then I retweet someone and then you say I'm part of them, and they're sitting there knowing none of us are part of them, they're laughing their fucking ass off.
That's a Jewish niggas.
And I just think we have to be very conscious of that. That's the only point I'm making.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I just, then it's got to be all in the family because they instigated with me. I would have been glad to join up with Tucker. And honestly,
all right, hold on. Because like I said, we'll stop right here. We'll keep it cooking tomorrow, man. Appreciate y'all niggas pulling up. Hold on, let me get the, you know what I'm saying? Because as we always got to do, you know what I'm saying? Got to promote the socials, of course, so you guys fuck with your boy and shit, You know how I move. You know how I do. I might be lagging right now. My bad. Opening quite a few tabs here. Might be lagging. My fault. All right, hold on. So first and foremost here, get this down for y'all real quick. First and foremost, follow with your boy on the YouTube, you know what I'm saying, at Ali Argundade, dropping success tips, podcast videos, you know what I'm saying. Hit the stream about 2 days ago, uploaded that shit for y'all. I think it'd be really great, you know what I'm saying, just talking to people walking around DC about their careers, dating life, and shit like that. I just think there's good, valuable information I'm able to drag out of that shit, of course. So, follow with your boy on here, at Ali Argundade, success videos all the time, you know what I'm saying. You know how we move. So, let me show y'all too. Let me get y'all to IG now. Shout out IG. Y'all follow with your boy on IG too as well. Same thing. Success tips and short little funny skits I like doing too as well. But follow with your boy on here. Ali Argundade. Nice and quick. Gotta grow the fam everywhere. So now we gotta go to XXX. You know what I'm saying? Gotta go on the platforms. Follow with your boy on X too. You know what I'm saying? Nobody watching here right now, so we're gonna like that shit up because you know what I'm saying. You got to be your number one supporter. You know what I'm saying? Before you come up on anything. So follow with your boy on here. I like to just yap on X because that's what the app is for and just talk about political shit and shit like that. And also I drop my success quotes and shit on there as well. So, you know what I'm saying? I would appreciate if you follow your boy there too as well. And then last but not least, the app that should be banned but is never banned, and that is TikTok. Definitely want to grow in here too as well. So if you don't have TikTok right now, just download that shit for me because you love me and I'm the greatest nigga of all time. And I want to grow the fam on here. So same tag. Same username, Ali Argundade. Follow with your boy on here. And last but not least, if you fucked with the stream, you know what I'm saying, like the stream so more guys can see this on the Rumble, or you can like on YouTube, whichever, or so more guys can just see this shit, join the fam, make sure that they're achieving their goals and reaching the peak of their masculinity because that's what you niggas are here for, and that's what will save the United States overall. So with that being said, I will catch you boys tomorrow, 6 p.m. or 8 p.m. Eastern time, somewhere around there. Just be ready, put on post notifications. And yeah, man. So peace out, fam.